Hello, welcome. If you've been waiting to invest or purchase in Houston, in the Houston market, this might just be your sign. Let's get into it. We're going to talk about Houston. Has it become a buyer's market? Well, let's examine it today. The Houston reset. What's really happening right now? What's happening? Ignore the national news and look at the reality because markets are hyper local. In parts of Houston, buyers are getting leverage again, not everywhere, but definitely in pockets. Homes are sitting on the market longer. Sellers are open to price drops, credits, and repairs. And that frantic decide in 10 minutes energy, like we had a few years back, it's cooled off. Now, here's the forecast. Inside the loop, things still move fast, so I want you to be aware of that. But some suburbs, you can actually breathe, negotiate, and think before you offer. So let's talk about the stats here. We're entering a window of stability. The frenzy is definitely gone. So if you look at this, sales volume is up 14%. Pent up demands meets the necessities. Price is up 4%. And you see this as it's happening. And rates 6%. So as you see this in this graph here, we're in more of a stability range in the market. The thaw is here. Inventory meets the balance. So we have 5 months supply of inventory. That means it's more of a balanced market. For first time buyers since the pandemic, many of us remember that COVID, neither side holds overwhelming advantage in the market right now. However, I do think in some micro parts of the market is more of a buyer's market. That's when you're able to negotiate like this. 46% of Houston sellers are now giving concessions. So that shows you that there's definitely a shift. What this means is that sellers are covering more repairs, closing costs, assistance, mortgage rate buy downs. Now, location is the strategy because, like I mentioned earlier, it's not everywhere. The inner loop still has more energy there. Good homes in prime spots still move fast. It's a competitive energy in some of those areas for move-in ready product. And that's the other thing. Buyers, when they understand what the market is, like in the suburban areas, they're demanding more out of the presentation of the home, the fitness of the home. Inventory is sitting on the market longer in the suburbs. So that's definitely a opportunity. There's price reductions that are common and negotiation power is higher there than in the inner loop. And make sure you pay attention. It says move in ready products. There's more competitive energy in the inner loop for those. Now, affordability check. Let's look at this. So what we're looking at is the median price of home about $315 plus, and the median income at $188K around there. So there's a gap when you look at the difference of $129,000. It's just definitely a hard truth, and what that means is that some people are experiencing the hard truth that they can't afford a home in this market. Prices have risen faster than the wages. Rents and insurance are climbing, and only 7 neighborhoods in Harris County are affordable to the median income. So that's why we're seeing some of these negotiations going on where buyers are saying, I want you to pay for my closing costs and my buy downs. In other words, my interest rate to go lower, and there's a cost for that. Now, This is where the market is moving fast. In emerging hotspots like East Houston, Southeast, Independent Heights, in those areas. As buyers get priced out of prime areas, demand spills over to historically affordable areas. Now, this is up to you when working with your agent if those are the areas where you desire to live. That's another discussion. The alternative, some of these are coming up, build to rent. There's a boom for that where you can have a home where you rent it and then you can own it at some point. Now, when we say PITI, that means principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. It makes up your whole payment. So sometimes when you get on these mortgage sites or just like looking at a home and then it says, what would your payment be? It just figures your principal and interest. But you want to know what that is with taxes and insurance. Taxes are up about 57% in Harris County, and insurance is rising due to some factors like where you have flood insurance. That's a non-negotiable. That can be an issue. Now, sellers have a new standard. I mentioned that a little earlier, that there's more expected from the sellers as far as the condition of the home, curb appeal, everything. And in the markets where things are moving a little slower, even more expected fitness of the home as far as how it looks inside and out and how it is on the inside. I'm meaning like any issues that might reveal itself through an inspection. Remember, buyers, you guys are having more of an advantage, and that's good. Panic is not an option anymore, like that panic buying. That's not the strategy. You can negotiate repairs, you can demand realistic options, and in new construction, we're finding that we can get buyers incentives and more interest rate buy downs and upgraded packages when you're buying new. And this is just talking about the legal updates. That will be a discussion for another time. But why Houston? Why not? It's a buyer's advantage in some areas, and some areas are still hot. And that's where it's helpful to have an expert in your corner. Now, I am Lisa. I'm a local Houston agent, one of the hardest working agents in the area. And I make sure that I provide you, as you follow along and subscribe, with updates that are local, fast, and real. I will see you in the next one. I hope you have a fabulous, what is today? January 9th. A fabulous day on January 9th. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.